Welcome back, everybody, to another PyData Global sponsor interview. I'm James Powell. I serve as co-chair of the NumFOCUS Board of Directors and also as vice president of PyData. Today, we're going to be speaking to Anas Alamoudi from Mozn, a little bit about how they contribute back to the open source community, why that motivates Mozn and Anas to be more active participants in the PyData community, what that might mean for the individual career of a junior programmer, why Anas is so excited about scikit-learn and why scikit-learn has really changed his life, and a bunch of other topics. So Anas, would you like to introduce yourself to the PyData global community?
Sure. My name is Anas Alamoudi. I've been working with software for over 12 years now. Moved between the mobile application and got into the data science, and then moved to the software engineering board and became an application more like of um, um, software engineer in general. I can do anything now. Um, I co-founded a startup back in 2015, and we we got acquired 2 years ago, and then I started to look up more, um, opportunities in the scene, and now I'm working at Mozn as the lead engineer and helping the company achieve their goals when it comes to developing applications for enterprise and government.
And Anas, would you like to introduce Mozn to everybody?
Mozn is a great company. It's a company that develop application based on data. We approach our solutions by first looking at data and analyzing data, and based on what we find, we develop solutions. We know that it's going to benefit our clients. This is how Mozn works, and this is how Mozn strive to deliver values to our clients.
So Anas, could you tell me a little bit about what open source tools from the PyData or the Python ecosystem that you use at Mozn?
At Mozn, we use a lot of open source libraries. One of them is Pandas and scikit-learn. Mainly, we use these two with the Jupyter notebooks to work on the initial analysis of the data. We try to understand how we process these data and how we work with it. And once the solution is ready, um, um, it helps us a lot in developing the actual application for the client. And in the same time, it makes the process easier to analyze the data.
Do you work with a lot of big data sets?
Yes, we work with a lot of big data from different clients. Some of it are very sensitive to work with, so and it's very private, so we have to be on premise sometimes to work on it, um, which makes it a bit harder for us to analyze. And what helps us the most is having these tools that we're using. And we have also our own internal modules built on top of it, which help us as well in integrating with the data in a shorter time and be more efficient in understanding what's behind the data and how can we find patterns within the data that can help us in developing the solutions for the client.
So what's your favorite open source tool?
I love scikit-learn. I used scikit-learn early on when I was in, in my career back in 2011. Um, I started working with scikit-learn as just learning machine learning, and then I loved it because it was well documented. It was easy to use. It was open source, so we can work on it. And I kept working on it until I founded my startup back in 2015. Um, I also used scikit-learn to develop the first solution to work on the research part of it. I used it in my master degree as well, um, which was like a big point in my career. And then one thing I also want to mention is that I was in PyData 2015 in New York here, and I attended a talk to that Andreas made with one of the authors of scikit-learn. And I just at that point I wanted to contribute to the library and I work with it, but I never had the chance. But um, that scikit-learn, I guess it's my favorite here.
That's fantastic. What motivates you to want to give back to open source tools like scikit-learn?
It's exactly the same moment when I was a young, early on in my career, looking at open source library like scikit-learn. It helps you a lot I mean, it helped me a lot in my career early on, and I want to have that and give that to the community, and I want people to interact with it and work with it as well.
So you've attended PyData events before. What is the aspect of the PyData community that attracts you the most?
It's like a big family. This is what I liked it. I liked when I went there. I felt like it's an amazing atmosphere. Everyone was friendly and helpful. No one was like holding back information or data. In fact, everyone was like excited to share with you and talk to you about their tools and their projects. And they would talk to you also about like how can you resolve their problems and how can you overcome any obstacles you might find. I met a lot of interesting people there, and I'm still in contact with some of them, which was great. And now in my career, I'm at the point where I'm actually talking to you guys and interviewing with PyData. My company is sponsoring PyData, which is something makes me very proud, and I'm very happy to be able to be part of giving back to this community.
So I understand one of your colleagues at Mozn is going to be presenting at PyData Global. Would you like to tell us a little bit about what they'll be speaking on?
We're going to talk about one of the libraries we're working on internally, which is name matching. It's about how Arabic names are written in English or English names are written in Arabic. It's a very interesting talk because this is it's not available anywhere else in the world, and the way the guys developed it in at Mozn, it's very interesting. The way they came up with an algorithm and the text analysis part. There's a lot of NLP work in there that can enable us to change. So you know that when you translate names, it's very hard. So the way you write the name in English can be in different ways for one name in Arabic. So that's one of the things that actually empowered Mozn to develop more around data and have more solutions around data.
When NumFOCUS talks about giving back to the PyData community or giving back to the community, they mean this very broadly. And there's a number of different ways that somebody can do this. You could volunteer in an event. You could attend an event as you have in past. You could give back to a project. You could speak at an event as one of your colleagues is speaking. You could sponsor a PyData conference or NumFOCUS as your organization is. And I'm curious, for you personally, what motivates you to give back to the community? How does that benefit you in your life?
There's no doubt that supporting an open source project can be very helpful to your career because you're showcasing your ability and your work to the public. And this is how I always like advise my junior engineers when I'm working with them. I always advise them to go ahead and support the community, go ahead and showcase your work, your intelligence, and your ability to understand and work with other people online and show it to the rest of the world. There is no shame in making mistakes because everyone makes mistakes, but hiding and not showing your work and trying to protect everything is not going to benefit you as much. Also, personally speaking, I gained a lot of knowledge through this libraries and open source communities, and I want to give back. I want to be supportive as well because this is how we grow as a community and um, help the rest of the engineering communities gain knowledge and develop their skills.
When you're recruiting new junior engineers at Mozn, do you look towards the community contributions they've made, and does that reflect positively on those candidates?
Of course, this is one of the things we always, have an eye for whenever someone apply for a job. If you have an open source contribution to one of these libraries, we're definitely hiring, because to be able to get to a point where you can actually contribute by a pull request, or defining a solution for an open source library. That means you were able to go there, interact with the code, understand how other people works, and get your work approved by the community, which is something that is you can't even validate within an interview session. That's why it's very important for us to have people can understand and work with open source libraries.
If you are speaking to a colleague at a different organization who is on the fence about sponsoring a PyData conference, how might you convince them that it would be worth the time, the effort, the money?
So one of the main benefits about supporting, PyData and being a sponsor for PyData is that you send a message to all the engineers, the good engineers in the market, that we want to be part of the open source community, and we are supporting open source projects, and we want to be part of that. Um, and this is by itself is it's a good way to attract good engineers to the market, to the company as well.
Is the promise of greater community interaction and community contribution is one of the things that attracted you to working at Mozn?
Yes, one of the things that makes me excited, and it's been a while since I was excited to work on a project, was the idea of working on an open source project, and especially when it comes to the languages. I'm always have been passionate about natural language processing, and the idea of um, being able to release a work that can enhance the natural language processing tooling for the Arabic language, and the way we are interacting with it in the open source community now. That would be great. As far as I know, there is no good library out there for open source library that support the language. And this is an opportunity for us to help and support the rest of the world by releasing these set of tools that we already have in house to the rest of the world, to be open for contributions, also to be used in research and analysis.
So I understand that Mozn is hiring. What kind of profiles are you looking for? What kind of roles are you trying to fill?
We have an amazing data science team, and we also have a great software engineering team, which is the team I'm leading. And we're looking to hire more intelligent people that can have an eye for solutions within data. And I'm really hoping that we have the best of the best in Saudi. One of my personal goals is to have the best team in the Middle East, and we're always looking to hire the best people, basically. So we have a really hard and interesting hiring process, and just to make sure that whoever is going to join our team is going to be a remarkable person with exceptional talents, and they can and also because we're working on a lot of sensitive projects with governments and enterprise companies. We want these people to be able to expand they're going to be challenged with these projects, because it's unusual projects and in different environments.
Is aptitude and proficiency with Python key criteria for the people that you're looking for?
Yes, Python is one of the fundamental things that they must know. But as an engineer, I believe that if you work with any other language and you have diversity in languages, you can work with any language, which is something so it's not like a hard requirement for me, but it's a plus for sure.
Would you like to give everybody a sample of the kinds of projects that you work on?
So one of the solutions that we have at Mozn is Focal, which is a sanction screening solution, which is basically help fintech companies in screening their database or incoming requests with the sanctioned lists worldwide, which is helpful when it comes, especially we added the name matching part to it. So if there is an Arabic name that you're trying to check if it's in the list or not, and you have a different spelling, right now, there is no solution that can find it for you in the database. So Focal can add that edge to your solution. It can provide the companies with more comfort and assurance that whatever names or formation of the name you got, we're gonna find it in the list, and we're gonna help you organize it and make sure you mitigate the risk out of it. And the solution is basically, I mean, going back to your question, how this project is going to be, I mean, it's engineered is basically as we do with our projects we do work on at Mozn, we develop the data science parts and do finish the research, and then we move to the moving this code and the research to the production and to be a full-blown application. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for people who can actually work on the data science research and dig deeper in the data and find the patterns and find the solutions. And we need other people also to take that and understand it, and how can we make sure it's going to work on a large scale for companies.
So tell me a little bit more about the culture you've helped build at Mozn.
At Mozn, we really care about people. One of the things I learned in the Silicon Valley and here in working with US companies, startups especially, that people are the core of business. And if you have good culture, if you care about their career and help them achieve their goals in their career, this is how you have a healthy team.
So Anas, would you like to leave the PyData Global community with any final words?
Just enjoy the conference and don't miss our talk about name matching. I hope you enjoy the conference.
So I'd like to thank Anas for joining us today. I think it was a fantastic conversation, and I'd like to thank Mozn for being a sponsor of PyData Global. Thank you everybody for joining us, and I hope you enjoyed our conversation.